I think that India is going to be the next hotspot for this epidemic, without a question. There's no indication to suggest that our caseload will be any different than the rest of the world. So we're probably a couple of weeks behind some other countries in terms of where the epidemic is, but we are likely to see the same tsunami of cases that Italy or Spain witnessed recently, or was earlier seen in China, here as well in a few weeks. It's possible that if we tested more people, we'd find more cases. But this problem of undertesting is true around the world. And I suspect that when the testing goes up quite a bit in the next few days, as it's scheduled to, India's caseload will go up into the thousands, and we should be prepared for it. You have to remember that transmission of diseases is easier in India because of population density. We're a lot like China. We're less like Europe, for instance. So the disease is probably transmitting in the community and very quickly. Remember, every case generates 2 additional cases. So our best estimates, which come from mathematical models, because that's how you project what happens with infectious diseases, are that in the US or in the UK, somewhere between 20 and 60% of people will be infected. And if you apply even the lowest end of this to India, and say 20% of Indians will be affected, that's about 300 million cases. And roughly about 1 in 5 to 1 in 10 are severe cases. So you'd end up with a number of about 4 to 8 million severe cases which require hospitalization in India.
I think the commitment from India government, from the top level, the Prime Minister's office himself, to all sort of people in the state, I think has been enormous and has been very good and very impressive. And I think in that sense, that's also one of the reasons why India is still doing quite well. And I'm very impressed that everybody has been mobilized, and that India is also having a whole government approach on the whole fight.
We don't have the NHS. We don't have a hospital system that's nearly equipped. India has only about 70 to 100,000 ICU beds in the entire country, amongst the lowest rates for a country of this size, and that's what worries me a lot. We don't have that much time to prepare. We have about 3 weeks, and we have to do all the things that the Chinese had to scramble to do, which is get temporary hospitals set up, maybe convert a few stadia into temporary hospitals, procure as many ventilators as we possibly can. I would prefer to focus on what we can do in the next 3 weeks, because the situation is what it is. But I think we've got a 3-week window. So imagine that you're standing on the shore and you're watching the tsunami come in. If you're just going to stand there and watch the tsunami, you're finished. If you can run as fast as you can, you have a better chance. And I think that without panicking people, I think people really should not panic, but really be prepared. This is something we can deal with. But we have to keep in mind that this is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime kind of an event. It's not something that governments generally are well prepared for. And it's time to batten down the hatches and try to ride out the storm.